We all have a really, really strong connection between our brains and our guts. We can call this the gut-brain connection, the gut-brain axis. It's all the same thing. And it's thanks to this gut-brain axis that we experience things like butterflies in our tummies. And those messages go from the gut up to the brain, and we interpret them as nerves, as whatever. And it's also thanks to this we can get that gut feeling, which tells us something as well. Everyone has a gut-brain axis, but for people who have IBS, it can be particularly sensitive. And there's a lot of evidence that shows that the sensitivity of the gut-brain axis can often contribute to the maintenance or the worsening of IBS symptoms. So if we take the example for kind of stress and anxiety, we interpret a situation that's happening around us in a way that is threatening, and that's really different for everyone. So when we interpret this stress and anxiety, it changes what our brains are telling us. It changes some of the hormones and the neurotransmitters our brain releases, and they travel down that gut-brain axis and are picked up by our gut, and that impacts how our gut moves and how it works. And that change in movement and the speed and things like that can contribute to really common IBS symptoms, things like diarrhea, constipation, bloating. What then often happens with people who've got IBS who experience these symptoms is they get worried about the symptoms, or maybe they're feeling embarrassed about these symptoms, and that in turn, that same kind of pathway happens again, and that further maintains these symptoms or worsens these symptoms as well. So what we often find when we speak to people with IBS is it can be a bit of a vicious cycle between food, stress, symptoms, changes in behaviour to kind of manage or cope with these symptoms, which all in turn kind of maintain or kind of go into this, as I said, this kind of vicious cycle. So in order to kind of help this, people with IBS should be thinking about doing things that helps to kind of relax, soothe, or kind of regulate this gut-brain connection. And there's lots of really easy things people can do. So it might be things that they can do to change what they're doing. So perhaps they could eat more regular meals, that consistency, that kind of regularity, the gut and the brain really like that. They could also find more moments of kind of rest and relaxation throughout their day. Also things like exercise or just being a bit more active is really good because it helps again with that kind of regular movement of the bowels. One of the really important things for people who have IBS to think about as well is to think about what's contributing towards that stress, anxiety, low mood, depending what it is they're experiencing. So getting to know these triggers, understanding them, and if they feel able to do that by themselves, maybe thinking about how they reduce that or manage that, or it might be thinking about how they could get further kind of support to explore that and to learn ways of managing stress, anxiety or low mood a bit more effectively for them. If someone's experiencing ongoing symptoms of stress, anxiety, low mood, especially if that's impacting their daily activities and their ability to manage their IBS, we'd always recommend that they go and speak to their GP as the first port of call. The GP will know what services are available locally, and they'll be able to signpost to the appropriate service.